issues. But here we go. So, welcome everyone to our TDM KLC Vodcast, our weekly series. This is now our third one, right?
Yes, exciting.
Yay! All right, so today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn as the first meet.
Yes, I'm very excited about LinkedIn. I love my LinkedIn. This is not an ad. So, yes, all about LinkedIn for professionals everywhere.
All right, so what does that mean actually? We're basically talking about LinkedIn being like your first interview, the first way that people see you, and that it's pretty much like your cover page, it's your interview before you even get to meeting anyone. And also, kind of the idea of how it's sort of taken over the whole meeting in person idea and how everything's become kind of based on your profile and how that may or may not be a good thing, how that could be a pro or a con for people.
Right. LinkedIn has come so far over the past several years. It just started as something where you just put your history down, kind of like a live resume
Hmm.
where you update everything and you just have it there and make some connections. But now it's morphed into something that's actually doing something for your job, for your certification, education, for people to check and validate that you're actually who you say you are and what you have done. So prior to that, we didn't have a platform that was doing this. We have Facebook, right? We have all those social media platforms. But LinkedIn has taken it to a whole new level with the professional world, and it's gaining traction even now. Even though we think it's already gained traction, it's still growing and expanding. And we, as professionals, have taken a look at LinkedIn and realized we need to make it more, make our profiles more solid, stand out. We are adding, well, I've been adding for sure more information on my LinkedIn profile all the time. I update my photo all the time. I connect with people. I put posts up. So just to keep the activity going. How have you seen LinkedIn grow and change, and what have you been doing, Maria?
I think, well, I was more so thinking about how it affects your viewpoint. You can write something, you can send out a resume, you can publish something, and all people have to go off initially, if they don't know you, is your name and the content of whatever you've sent to them. So now with LinkedIn, I feel that with some of the issues, social issues we've been discussing lately, gender inequality, racial and cultural heritage inequalities, that LinkedIn does allow you opportunities to connect face to face sooner, but it can also be a barrier. It can also stand in the way and be a platform for judgment. And I've actually seen that happen on in just trolling and the same things that we experience on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It happens on LinkedIn now because LinkedIn has become sort of the professional Twitter, the professional Instagram, where you can share, people share things about their personal life, they share encouraging videos, they share what they're doing, their accomplishments, and then the feedback, positive or negative, comes around there as well. So I think that as far as advancing your career as a professional in whatever aspect that is, that can be sometimes a deterrent where you have to be just as careful on LinkedIn as you would in an interview sometimes, depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, if you own your own company, maybe not as much, but if you are someone looking for a job or you're trying to network and branch out, I could see people being very judgmental and first looking at your profile picture, the way that it looks, the way your profile is set up, and there has to be a lot of consideration put into that. But sometimes the judgment is really unnecessary and almost
I agree.
really biased, actually.
No, I completely agree. From that perspective, yes. It's become judgmental in how you present yourself, which is what where I go back to saying that this is a this is supposed to be a professional platform. It's
Yeah.
supposed to represent you in the best light, but because of the influences from the social media, from the Twitters, from Facebook, from Instagram, everybody's got this mentality of what you were saying, that they can feel free to troll on a platform, a professional platform, that they can go in and comment and say whatever they feel like. Meanwhile, they have nothing to do with what you are talking about. They're not even in the same field that you are in.
Yeah, that
So
happens. Yeah, you're like, I
so
don't even know you.
like, what do you do? I don't, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
who are you?
So but it's also very true that employers will check your LinkedIn prior to the interview or during the interview,
Hmm.
just to make sure that everything matches up and you say you are who you say you are, and that you
Hmm.
worked where you worked. um they I don't know how to avoid this whole judgment thing with the profile photos, because yeah, there's not supposed to be any judgment. There's not supposed to be age discrimination, color, gender, anything. We're not supposed to be dealing with that. But then this kind of crosses that line, because you the hiring managers look at you and they just make their own decision right there on the
Right.
spot. So
Yeah.
it's that gray line of how do what do we do? What do we do?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's almost to say, we shouldn't be, the EEO standards should be upheld. You shouldn't be judged or discriminated against based on any disabilities, any cultural, racial heritage that is immediately obvious to the eye or that they learn of otherwise, and nor religious preferences or religious affiliations, and gender also. So that's to say that all of that should not be happening. But the truth is, all of that does happen. People do discriminate based on disabilities. People do discriminate based on religious affiliations and preferences, um, gender identification, and and then most definitely racial profiling is happening all the time. And LinkedIn unfortunately makes that very easy. Because, like you said, all they have to do is look at your profile picture, and immediately they've come up with a perception of you. And then when they look through your profile, that either works further against you or sometimes it may improve. But that's very hard to control. I mean, it's a great question. What do you do about that? How do you just work
And then
hard? Do you work around that? Do you try to avoid having a LinkedIn? Do you even have a LinkedIn? Is that an option anymore?
I'm definitely for a platform like this. I think there should be some um I don't know if HR managers get training, or even the recruiters if they get
Mhm.
training and make sure that they are up to date with EEO, and all of the demo. I don't even know what to call it, but they should not be judging people. I don't know if the company actually talks to them about it. I'm not sure about any of these things. We know that they definitely do it.
Mhm.
The hiring managers, the personal opinion of the hiring manager or the recruiter should not reflect the entire view of the company. You're applying to a specific company if you are applying to a job, for example.
Mhm.
So if the hiring manager or recruiter makes you feel a certain way, I don't know if that should necessarily represent the entire view of the company, which is why I believe companies should definitely make sure that their personnel are trained and are able to work on these platforms, not be judgmental, definitely show zero signs of judgment. Am I making sense? Does that make
Absolutely. But I think the bigger question for some people might be, how do we get around that? How do we handle that when that's not the case? What can we do? I mean, how can you create a LinkedIn profile that, if this is even possible, that is bias proof?
I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. You're penalized for having the for not having a profile picture, and
Yeah.
and then you get judged if you do have one.
Mhm.
Like you might be look too young for example, and they just won't want to hire you because you look like you're straight out of high school or something. So
Yeah.
and that is definitely not the case. You have a whole history of work behind you. So there, so I don't think you can get around it. It's a matter of educating people and making sure that when they are creating their profiles, they're just sticking to the standards that make that platform the platform it is. It's a professional service.
Mhm.
So if we're following our if we're following the regulations, we're doing the right thing. And the people that are doing the judging, um, those are the ones that are at fault.
So there's no way around it. All you can do is just do your best and put your best foot forward or your best face on
Well, I
LinkedIn
mean, what do you
forward.
think? What do you think?
I think I agree with you. It's a question that I ask myself, especially when I see it happening at other people, or I think it may possibly be happening to me. I often get messages that are people will they see on my LinkedIn profile that I am a business owner, and the way that they tailor their message lets me know whether or not they're just trying to connect, if they've created some assumptions about me as a person, as a woman of color in their message. Sometimes there'll be an assumption that I need more of training or more of this or that, or they'll say, as a woman, blah, blah, blah. And it's really assuming a whole lot about me without knowing what I'm doing, what I'm working on, if I have employees who help me with that, if I really need those credentials, or if I have people working with me who have those credentials. So there can be a lot of assumptions, and I usually can filter those through my conversations with people on LinkedIn, or their comments. Um, but I imagine if you're looking for work, then, if you're not given the chance to move forward in the process, is it because you didn't qualify, or because they decided that you weren't a good fit based on other details that they didn't disclose, or that they're not going to share with you based on their judgments? Um, and I don't know. I mean, it's the same as an in-person interview. How do you stop someone from judging you based on your gender or your religion or your race or heritage in an in-person interview? I think the same thing applies to LinkedIn. Um, I know a lot of times it's showing that they do need you and can benefit from you, and making sure that they're clear and aware of that. And after that, that is really all you can do as a woman, as a person of color, as someone affiliated with a certain religion. I mean, it's really hard to change the mind of someone who's already biased against you. But showing them that they need you, I think, is probably the best way to go about it. I mean, this discussion could go on for eons.
You totally make sense here with that. And if what you said about the interview, this is just like being in the physical interview.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is the same thing, like pre-interview. It's literally them. So we're adding that. They're just weeding people out through LinkedIn, with everything that we have on there, and not even going into the real interview sometimes. So
Yeah.
it makes LinkedIn a powerful place for employers and also for employees.
Yeah.
And it's also very gray. I, it's hard for me to articulate because the idea of it is brilliant, and actually just and the stuff that people do with it is what's causing the problem.
Yeah.
So I think personally, I think it's a great platform, and I do believe people should put their best foot forward on this platform,
Hmm.
and just continue doing what they're doing, while we're trying to also educate the employers and companies to make sure that they are training their recruiters, their hiring managers, to be cognizant of um, these standards that they're looking for in people and not be judgmental. So I going back to it again, I don't know how we can
Yeah,
get around LinkedIn being not judgmental. It's
that's a
I
golden
don't I
question.
really don't know. It's so hard.
It
Like
is.
I would definitely every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, make sure you update LinkedIn that your profile photo is. I have a lot of people that are looking for work right now,
Hmm.
that they're going out and searching, and literally the first thing I said was, take a good profile photo, make sure
Yeah.
that you're not just doing a headshot and it's not like really close to the camera.
That's a
Like
good
that's
one.
not gonna
No
work.
crazy selfies.
No, no crazy selfies. No, we don't want that. So so I think that's also a key, because employers do want to see you in that professional setting, because when you're going to an interview, you're going to wear a suit, you're going to wear some kind of professional attire. You're
Hmm.
not going to go there in jeans
Yeah.
unless the job requests that you wear jeans,
Right.
specifically.
Yeah.
So but normally you're still going to wear some kind of a professional business attire, so you
Hmm.
want to represent yourself in the picture, a profile picture that shows that,
Right.
and show some body and not just your head. You want to have some kind of a professional look there, and maybe stand back a little bit. So I
Yeah.
definitely tell people that I work with, to update that, to make sure that they look at their qualifications, to add certifications in there,
Hmm.
and just to present themselves in the best light. Also to do a summary of who they are, do a little about caption about themselves to
Yeah.
present themselves better. And in honesty, I mean, what else can be done besides helping each
I
other
don't know.
and
Yeah.
setting up the profiles correctly? The
Well, I think
trolls
having
should
these
be reported.
discussions and like bringing awareness to it is, well, that's the whole reason why we're doing this. But
Yes,
yeah, just helping people be aware, helping people to
because
be okay with talking. Yeah, it
there
is
are
hard.
people that abuse it. There's so many trolls out there, and they'll message over the dumbest things. And
Yeah, we can be honest here. I mean, some of the messages are just completely outlandish. But being comfortable to have this conversation too, I think is a big step. It is okay to talk about this and not worry about backlash or what
right,
people
I
might
don't
think
think
of
any
you
I
bringing up.
haven't heard anyone talking about it.
No, I think the deterrent is what kind of backlash am I get? What are people going to say? What are they going to think about me? Maybe they'll stop wanting to do business with me. Maybe I'll lose clients. I won't get a job, this and that. But it is okay to talk about things that affect us because if we don't, they're going to continue to affect us either way. So it's not going to make the
Right.
situation better and it's not going to change
No, no,
anything.
and it could definitely get worse. So
Absolutely.
it's totally, this is a good time to bring it up, to let
Hmm.
people know, to be aware of what's going on LinkedIn, and to know what to expect
Yeah.
from employers and how bad it could be.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to be talking about it, and thank you for having me on here to bring attention to it with you.
No,
It's
thank
it's a
you.
big deal. It's a lot
Yeah.
of people have been out of a job. They're trying their best and they're trying to get their themselves portrayed in the best light on there, and
Yeah.
then they get judged automatically. So
Yeah.
that's not okay.
No, it's not. And if it's a matter of needing help with how do you present yourself, that's something else that maybe we can do that. You could go into more detail because that's really your area of expertise. And we talked a little bit about what we both do on our last podcast, but just a really quick rundown. Kat, you specialize in basically business development and project development. And so the people involved in that comes with that development process. And so that's one of the key things that you specialize in. So I think maybe we could circle back maybe in a few weeks and talk about like how do you put up the best LinkedIn profile for what you're trying to do and go over something like that. What do you think of that?
That would be great. Oh, should we do a PowerPoint presentation?
I would love to go through a PowerPoint presentation with you, since she's so detailed. And I myself, I could add, whatever bits that I've done because I've changed mine over the years. As I was just a freelancer, just a sole proprietor, entrepreneur, as I became a contractor, and then as I started contracting and being co-partners with other businesses, my LinkedIn page has had to evolve with that. And, even times where I thought, okay, maybe I'll stop doing business, I'll switch, I need to go here. Every move, the LinkedIn page moves with you. So I've experienced that myself too.
Yeah. Um, I think we should definitely do a follow-up on this. I totally agree. I would love to know what other people think,
Me
what
too.
what their views are on this, and if they've experienced what we're talking about.
Yes, please
Um,
comment below. Don't just send us messages. Please put your comments where everyone can see them and they can respond and, just add to the dialogue, add to the conversation. If there's other topics you want us to talk about, we're here for that too.
yeah, this conversation, I think we're gonna have to bring up again,
Okay,
um, for sure.
part two.
And, part two, and we can incorporate a bunch of things in there as well. Um,
Okay.
it, yeah.
Well, I have
LinkedIn is
another
a special
question for
place.
you.
Go ahead.
Do you think we can survive without social media as professionals in any capacity? Like if we wanted to do without LinkedIn, or if we wanted to only do
Well,
Instagram, do you think that's possible?
okay, so let's rewind. Prior to social media and the internet, how did we live?
Without?
It was hard. Oh, I can't imagine it. I admire the people who worked in the past prior to the internet and social media. It was hard. You
Yeah.
had to literally go into places and call people on a landline.
Your face in their face. Yeah.
Yeah, and you would meet with the receptionist and see if they have any work available. Like we're going way back.
Yeah.
So that was hard. I remember my father looking at help wanted ads in the newspaper and calling those. And do people even know what that is? Do they still have those?
Has anyone even seen a newspaper?
Right.
Like
Right. Not an
physical
electronic
newspaper?
newspaper, a real one,
Yeah.
paper.
Does
So
anyone even look at the magazines and the newspapers at like the well, here in New York, do they still have those in DC? Do they have magazines in the DC area
yeah,
by coffee
in the
stands?
metro, in the
In the
metro.
metro? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys even know that?
Probably not. I'm pretty sure you have to figure out where it's located.
Yeah. Like, where would I go find an actual newspaper nowadays? Maybe the bookstore? I mean, come on. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah.
bad.
And I walked into the grocery store. They had a few on the shelves, but it was maybe
Yeah.
five of the Daily News and like
Okay.
three of the New York Times. And this was early in the morning. So people are not really shopping for newspapers in
Yeah.
certain locations. And the point is, like, it was a lot harder to do all of this, and at the same time, a lot easier in um in our parents, grandparents, great grandparents' time,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you were presenting yourself without that initial judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You were going in there. You might have looked a little grudgy or rough around the edges, but maybe you were a totally amazing salesman and you did that whole pitch and they loved you.
Right. It's all
So
about the show you put on.
right.
Yeah.
So that kind of balanced it out, and people overlook the initial impression, and they
Mm.
went more maybe with what you actually bring to the table.
Yeah.
Now it's more, now it's social media, right? It's how you
Yeah.
represent the company. Can you
Yeah.
be the face of the company? Can you represent the CEO? Can you represent
Yeah.
the executive director? Will you
Mm-hmm.
look good in a meeting, right? Is you
Yeah.
like, are you too big? Maybe you're too fat. Maybe you're fat. You need to lose some weight. So you're not going to really fit in.
Cat.
It's so
We keep
bad.
it
No, I
real.
have to lose
And we're
weight too.
funny. We're funny. It's okay.
No, but this is the stuff that we hear. This is some of the
Yeah.
stuff that we've experienced. I've experienced it. Um,
Was it said directly
yeah.
to you, or did you find out later? Because I find that a lot of things that I experience are whispered to me later, or it's sent via message, or it's like an indirect slight
Yeah.
because they want to be PC about it. They want to stay politically correct. They don't want to offend to your face, but they'll undercut you, on the
Mhm.
sly. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
almost
how I
worse. I'm
feel.
like, do it to my face, have the courage to like say it.
I
But
would
then again,
prefer
it's like, well,
that.
don't be so aggressive. There's all these, like trying to skirt around their own judgment and their own bias. How has it been for you? Do they say it to your face?
No, no, it's been the same way.
Same.
Like, yeah. And it's just sad because you talk to these people, or you'll talk to these people maybe through social media
Yeah.
regularly, or a professional location, and they're just so scared to say something to your face.
Yeah.
So I've learned to block it out and
Yeah.
not worry about it. Some things get hurtful, and you
Yeah.
wonder why they're jumping at your throat, or at your personality, or trying to
Yeah.
make you look bad. I don't
Yeah.
know why people do that, but that's the troll. Those are real trolls.
Those are the trolls.
Yeah. But what was I saying? The whole thing now is social media has created some kind of like a set of standards, which
Yeah.
is not direct.
No.
It's not written anywhere. It's just something implied, I guess.
Yeah, it's like
You
you have
have
to
to
just
look
like
a
catch
certain
on
way.
and figure it out as fast as you can so that you can get a following or like be
Yeah.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. So people have judged me with makeup, for example,
Okay.
not wearing enough of it,
Really?
which is I don't know
As
how
a consultant, not wearing enough makeup.
right.
Wow.
So I don't know how to take that, but okay. Thank you. I've had an employer comment, this is a judgmental comment, but saying, I don't like that you wear flats all the time. You should wear heels.
Ugh.
I need
Yeah.
to see you in heels.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great, great. And so some of these comments, when they happen, they take you off guard. And
Yeah.
for someone like me, I don't know how you are, but I'm not that quick to respond when
Okay.
it takes me off guard. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, what do I say now? What am I supposed to
Yeah,
like?
nobody prepares you for that.
No, nobody prepares you for that. And so that's just judgment in the workplace and in general, but
Yeah.
the whole look thing, the makeup
Yeah.
thing, that goes back to LinkedIn, that goes back to all the social medias.
Yeah.
um if they see your profile picture and you're not professional or whatever, they'll
Mm.
be judging you.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
it's the same thing on this end. I think you try to figure out like what kind of person are you going to present yourself as, and then that's how you're going to respond. That's what I've done with myself. Like, I'm not going to hide the truth from you. I'm not going to not respond, but I'll tailor my response in a way that is also for you to hear me if I have something to say to you.
right. It's important to speak up. And that if people are coming at you
Mm-hmm.
with comments, I've learned that, yeah, you should speak up. You should say
Yeah.
something. You should make a statement. You don't have to actually respond to the person directly in the
Mm-hmm.
chat. You can totally put them on blast if they seriously said something that was inappropriate, and you can put out a post that might not mention them, but mentions the situation.
Yeah, I see a lot of people doing that, and that's, especially people who are public figures and celebrities and company owners. who have large followings, they put out a message that's pretty direct and doesn't, name call, but people immediately catch on. They're like, oh, I know that's about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's it's important to pay attention to that. And maybe that is a battle feature, some kind of
Battle
way
feature.
we can fight back against this whole judgment
Mhm.
situation on LinkedIn by
Yeah.
being more vocal about it. Like what you were saying, you've been
Mhm.
preaching this entire conversation that we've been
Yeah.
talking and in person with me too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should probably have a whole podcast about battle strategies.
Yeah, that's like number three. Be part three of this very podcast. So, LinkedIn is the
Yeah,
first, be part three battle series.
yeah. So know how to stand up for yourself
Yeah.
and battle the bullies and trolls. So
I like
um
that idea.
that's great. That's great. I get my ideas talking to you.
This is very true. We do bounce off of each other a lot. I mean, this whole vodcast series was from a conversation we had. So, and I'm just so
Yeah.
grateful to be able to do it with you. It's so nice to have someone who is, although we're not in the same state, but we're like together in this, and it's definitely like our sheep pack and just
Yeah.
empowering, and we're like we move forward, and every day it's just like another step forward. But there's also these other old archetypal traditions or ways of thinking that are they've just got to go. But how do you fight them? So, I mean, it's better to fight them together than alone.
That needs to be added to our battle vodcast.
Yes. I mean,
Fighting
what
traditions, fighting
yes,
the traditional
archetypal
mentality.
traditions must go.
It's true. There's so many people that are set in their ways, and just to connect it somehow to LinkedIn with the hiring managers and recruiters,
Yeah.
the people that train them might actually have traditional mindsets from before,
Yeah.
from prior to social media. So we're still dealing with an age that's transitioning
Mhm.
from like the age of what do you call that age of no internet? I don't even know. So we're transitioning from that
Pre-internet.
place.
I mean,
The
there's
what?
like pre-Bronze Age. Can we say pre-internet age? Does that
Yeah,
sound
I
simpler?
guess. I guess that makes sense. It's the simplest.
Well,
Pre-internet, a
pre-internet, before the
pre-tech.
internet, pre-internet. I think a lot of people say before the internet. I think we should give it an official name.
Yes.
Pre-internet,
Pre I yeah, let's do that. It's simple.
pre-internet, pre-broadband,
Pre-broadband too.
pre-Wi-Fi.
Pre all of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember when Wi-Fi was being rolled out all around the city. People were so hyped and so excited that New York City was going to have city Wi-Fi, and now it's like, oh yeah, right. That's standard. If it's not working, people are outraged. They're like, why isn't it working?
Right?
Literally like 3 years ago, it was still being beta tested, and now we're like, why isn't it 5G yet?
I was excited when they let cell phone service work on the subways.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Does anyone remember when their cell phone would like go out in the tunnel? You had to text people going in the tunnel. Like
Yes,
you
yeah,
have
I
to get
did
off the phone.
that.
I'm going in the tunnel.
That was also an excuse to drop the call. I'm in the tunnel. Bye.
Very true. Very true. Um, it's not a diary series. We never did that, of course. I mean, it was always an accident. No, but I think that was what, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't even
Yeah,
know. It
I
was
would
like
say probably closer to the 10.
10 years ago. Okay.
Yeah,
And
right?
now we
It
have
was
no excuse. So of course we stay on the phone. I'm just very happy to continue the conversation. My cell phone does still go out in certain places in the city, like especially under the larger tunnels. My cell phone will
that
exit.
makes yeah, that totally makes sense. I appreciate the fact that they actually put it in there. So
Yeah,
technology has improved so much
yeah,
and we're still going.
very
So
true.
that's great. And I think the point of this conversation was to to mention the 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 whole traditional thing where
Yeah,
people who are hiring come from a time prior to the internet, and they're selecting people based on standards that they've drilled into their heads
Yeah.
from early on. And how do we break those mind mentalities?
Yeah.
Are they educating themselves? I don't know. These are
These are the
private
questions.
corporations that are working on this. I think it's important, going back to that again, it's
Hmm.
important for companies to stay up to date with
Yeah.
current requirements and the situations that are happening, listening
Hmm.
to what's going on around us
Yeah.
with these horrible situations that are affecting our country right now. Just staying up to date with all of that,
Hmm.
and maybe making some changes within their organizations to better serve the next set of employees that come.
Yeah. Or even the current, just to make the current present
Yes.
day and current situation, current group of employees,
Yeah.
coworkers, make it better. 'Cause we can start there. And actually, I was thinking next week our topic is going to be how do we get started? And so I know that originally we were talking about, we were going to talk about, how do you, as a contractor, as a entrepreneur, how do you attract people to your image? I think that's a great place to circle back to what we were going to talk about part two. How do you set up a LinkedIn profile that displays the best part of you and helps to eliminate bias, if that's even possible, which we talked about. It's really not. You can't control what other people think about you, but you can control the image of yourself that you put out, and you can control the assets that people see, and making them realize that there's only one you.
That is so beautifully said. I
Thank
love
you.
that. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I think, yeah, you summarized it. I have
Yeah.
nothing to add. I have nothing to add.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. So next week, please tune in. We'll try to be better at putting out like advance notice. We'll put out, some maybe an Instagram story or a post, just letting you guys know that the next TDM KLC Vodcast is coming up. We'll do the same thing on LinkedIn. So once we have the date and time set, we'll put out a post so that you guys can join us, or at least look out for the video and know when it's going to be going up. We tend to do LinkedIn recorded and Instagram is live, so there's two ways to follow us and see what we're doing. But next week's going to be exciting because we're just going to be circling back to what Kat was mentioning before. How do you set it all up? How do you get started? And I think that ground level is where you start breaking down, combating some of these archetype like
Oh, I'm so
traditions.
excited. I am so
Yeah,
excited. Oh
me
my gosh.
too. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me on this podcast and joining me, and all of you who are watching and who will tune in later and watch the recorded version. Again, please don't hesitate to leave your comments, to share this with other people. We want to grow our circle, invite more of you in, and yeah, give us any ideas for topics that you have. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.